Hello and welcome back to the another episode of the Hindu News Analysis. Well, it is 8th July 2025 and in this video we are going to discuss some important articles which are very much relevant for your preparation. So, without any delay, let's start our discussion. As we can see here on the screen, the article is about fostering a commitment to stop maternal deaths. So why is this article here? Let's try to discuss that, what we can get from this article with respect to prelims as well as mains. Let's try to grab that thing from this article. So basically this article analyzes the maternity mortality rate in our country, which is 93 per lakh. So maternity mortality rate is 93 per lakh. What does it mean that 93 women die because of maternity out of 1 lakh women? So the article here focuses on why does these women, why they die, what is the reason for that, what causes the death of these people, these innocent people, what causes the death of these women. Even when the 1 lakh women, they are able to deliver their children very safely, they live their life in a very beautiful way. What wrong these women do with respect to that? So this article basically focuses on this topic. In our country there are various issues with respect to the maternity mortality rate, or pregnancy deaths. There are various issues with respect to that. Few are medical in nature, and few are very much social and habitual in nature, or we can say non-medical in nature if we will be more classical in it. So let's try to discuss what are the various non-medical ways, non-medical reasons for the death of these women. Then we will shift towards the medical, what are the various medical ways, and then we will try to focus on what are the different schemes which the government has brought in to curb this issue. If we will look at the data first, in 2017 it was 117, I guess, was the number. The maternity mortality rate was 117 out of 1 lakh women. We had reduced it to 93 in 2000. In the present time we had reduced it to 93, but still it is very, the gap, the number is very huge with respect to other countries, with respect to other developed and developing countries. So there is definitely the need to bring in various incentives, bring in various schemes and educate people about this, how it can be reduced. So let us discuss the reasons why these deaths happen in our country and what are the specific reasons for that. So first let us see what are those non-medical reasons for these deaths. First of all, it is the habit of the people in these places. Habit of the people, they don't go for the checkups. There is poor antenatal checkups. Because of that, poor antenatal checkups, this leads to the when the patient is not studied well, when the complexities of the pregnancy are not studied well, it definitely will lead to the complexities in the pregnancy and may lead to the death of the patient. So this is one of the reasons which is highlighted by the author here, that because of the poor antenatal checkups, this is one of the reason. Second, the author has highlighted, the second reason which author has highlighted is the patriarchal nature of the society. Which says that the pregnancy is very much natural and we don't need to go to the doctors, we don't need to go to the healthcare centers. So what is the reason for that? So this nature of the society, it leads to the poor antenatal checkups, it leads to the home deliveries, and eventually these women, they get different infections, and eventually this leads to the death of these patients. So this is another reason, the patriarchal nature which is deep inside our society, it is one of the reason for that. And also the undernutritious woman, this is also one of the reasons that the women in these rural areas, especially belonging to remote villages, they don't have good access of food, good access of nutrition. When they are undernutritious, they are suffering from various issues like anemia, when they suffer from such issues, and for them to survive the pregnancy, it becomes much harder, because there is loss of blood when they are suffering from anemia, when they are suffering from other issues, when their immune system is already weak because of the undernutrition, and this eventually leads to the pregnancy complexities. So this is also one of the reason the poverty, or we can say the undernutritious food they take. Then the teenage pregnancies, it is also one of the major reasons for that. The children who are getting married in the age group of 15 to 18, who are not under the legal age group, their womb is not that much developed to hold the baby, nor their body is developed to hold the baby. So because of that, when there are teenage pregnancies, it eventually leads to pregnancy complexities, and the patient eventually may die. So these are one of few of the major reasons which are non-medical in nature, but they lead to the death of the patient. So what are the what are the other reasons which are associated with the medical? For example, one of the reason is that the availability of the hospitals. The hospitals are not that available in these rural areas. When the hospitals are not accessible in these rural areas, it becomes hard for the patients to reach to the hospitals, and the roads, that the infrastructure development in these regions will also be the hindrance to these patients, and eventually it can cause lot of damage to them. So this is also one of the issue. Then, as we discussed, the undernutritious character of the mother, and which leads to the anemia, and when during the pregnancy there is blood losses or there hemorrhages are there, so it would definitely lead to the major complexities, and also the structure of the hospitals there. So it further further leads to the it further leads to the increase of the complexities. And also, if we look at the various schemes, even though the government has tried to bring in various schemes through the social self-help groups in the villages, through various ASHA schemes are there, which contact the pregnant woman for their institutional deliveries, but still we are lacking very much in it, because of the the availability of hospitals near these patients, near their homes. It is one of the major reason for that. And also the availability of blood banks, the synchronization of the blood banks with the hospitals. This is also one of the reasons why there are these why there is still this why there are still the maternity deaths happening in our country. So there are various reasons which are highlighted in this article. Basically this article helps you in understanding what, even though we are moving forward, we are trying to reduce these maternity deaths, but at the same time we had not yet abolished them fully, and the reason are very much specific in our society. It is very much deep inherited in us. It is very much deep in our attitude. It is very much deep in our patriarchal system, as well as the infrastructural system is very much responsible for that. The healthcare system is very much responsible for that, because in the remote areas they are not in sync. These healthcare sectors are not in sync, and because of that these patients get hard to access the hospitals, and eventually they succumb to these issues. And also the poverty, what they suffer from, this is also one of the major reason why these patients suffer from such issues. So this is in a nutshell what this article basically talks about. Now a question with respect to mains can be asked with respect to this topic. What government has what different policies had government brought in to reduce the maternity mortality rate. A question about such can be asked in the exam. And what is the status of maternity mortality rate in India, despite we had brought various schemes, that can be the asked. So various types of questions can be asked with respect to this topic, and by taking the data from this article you can get the idea how to write the question, how to write the answer, what are the various issues, for example what are inherited in our social system, those issues, the patriarchal mindset in our society, and also at the same time the hindrance created by the remote areas, for example lack of infrastructure and healthcare systems. So when we collaborate all those issues and refine them in a beautiful answer, it will definitely get you some good marks in the exam. So with respect to this, a prelims question can be asked in the exam, like what kind of schemes the government has brought in. So for that we had brought a question on the next slide. Let's have a look at it and see what does the question talk about. Here the question says, consider the following statements regarding various government schemes aimed at improving maternal health in India. So here, basically, usually this type of question, in this model, you would not often see it in the exam, because UPSC does not ask questions like that. But why I brought this question, because it is for the information sake, to give you the idea about the various schemes which are in line with the maternity health in India. So let's have a look at it. First, Janani Suraksha Yojana. It says it primarily focuses on reducing maternal and neonatal mortality by promoting institutional deliveries among pregnant women, with a special emphasis on low performing states. 100% correct. Second, Janani Shishu Suraksha Kariya Karam. It aims to eliminate out-of-pocket expenses for pregnant women and sick infants, assessing public health institutions, covering free delivery, diagnostics, drugs and transport. That's true. Third, Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana. This scheme provides partial wage compensation and nutritional support to pregnant women and lactating mothers for their first two living children, with an additional incentive if the second child is girl. That is also true. Then the fourth statement, Surakshit Matritva Ashwasan, which is Suman, launched recently. This initiative ensures assured, dignified, respectful and quality healthcare at no cost to every woman and newborn visiting public health facilities. That's also true. So the aim of this question is to introduce you with these schemes, to have the idea about these schemes. If any question with respect to maternal mortality or maternal health will be asked in the exam, you should be able to give a proper answer, which is the demand from the examiner. So with this, I hope you had understood the article. The article basically talked about the reasons why there are maternity mortality rates. Even though we had done good with respect to the ratio, we had decreased the number, but still there is the room for the improvement, and the need for improvement, it can be brought through the social education as well as through the institutional evolution or institutional innovation, by bringing in more hospitals, by bringing in blood banks and seeking them well with the hospitals, and also by developing the infrastructure, by developing the roads, so that the accessibility will become much better. So with this, I hope you had understood the article. Now let's move to the another article and see what kind of article it is, what does it talk about, and let's try to discuss it. Here the article is talking about battling for prevention. One health program is essential to prevent zoonotic spillover. So what is this zoonotic spillover? First, let's understand what is this zoonotic disease. What are these zoonotic diseases? These are, if you want to understand it in a simple language, in a simpler terms, the zoonotic disease is one which transfers from the animal to human. So these are the zoonotic diseases. For example, we have Nipah virus from the fruit bats. We have COVID-19. We have and various other Ebola. We have Ebola. There are various other diseases which transmit from animals to humans, and there are chances that the chicken pox. Sorry, not chicken pox. Chicken flu, bird flu. Sorry, bird flu is also. It can be considered as a zoonotic disease, even though yet it has not been confirmed to that extent. But still, there are cases had been found that where it was seen that the bird flu is transferring to humans. But still, let's see what will happen with respect to that. So, what does this article talk about? It basically talks about whenever we often contact any disease, what is our approach of treating it? We usually focus on the individual, or we will usually focus on human, and we will ignore two important parts in it. One, we will ignore the animal from where we are getting this. Second, we will ignore the environment from which leads to the contraction of this disease from animal to humans. So what does this article talk about? This article talks about this approach of targeting only one humans here, one entity here, is not the solution to curb these zoonotic diseases, to solve the issue of zoonotic diseases. It is better, it is very much better to target all the three at one time. Our approach should be targeting all the three entities. It should be targeting the animals, targeting the environment, and also targeting the humans. How we can do it? For example, what is the major reason of the malaria or dengue? Some water would be in the environment. You will see outside your homes, it would be contaminated water, and there we will see lots of mosquitoes there. So how we can tackle this issue? We must take care of these issues, that we should try to eliminate such clogations. We should try to eliminate such contaminated water nearby us, so that we will try to clean the environment. And eventually, if we will try to clean the environment, it will definitely reduce the burden of disease on us. So this is the approach which the article is talking about. It is saying that rather than focusing on only one individual, it does not solve the problem. It in a way solves the symptoms. It can solve the issues with respect to individual, but it cannot eliminate the problem as a whole. But if we will have this approach where we will target the humans, we will target the animals, and as well as the environment at one, it will definitely eliminate the issue to the fullest. So this is what the article is basically talking about. Now let's have a look at it. What kind of question can be asked with respect to this article in the exam? Here, why Nipah virus was in news? Because the case of the Nipah virus has increased in the Kerala, the most affected place right now. So let's have a discuss about the Nipah virus. Let's try to find out what kind of question can be asked with respect to it. Here the question says, with reference to Nipah virus, consider the following statements. First statement: Nipah virus is a zoonotic virus with the fruit bats being its natural host. 100% correct, nothing wrong with the statement. Second statement: human to human transmission of Nipah virus has not been documented. Totally incorrect and absurd statement. Third, currently there are no specific antiviral drugs or vaccines available for Nipah virus infections in human or animals. That's true. Third, the incubation period of Nipah virus infections is typically very short, ranging from a few hours to a couple of days. That is also incorrect, because it is not very short. It ranges from 44 to 14 days usually. So the correct statements in this question with respect to this question are statement 1 and statement 3, and from the code given below, the correct code is option B. And also, as we were discussing this article, I forget to mention a few pointers. For example, we have the antimicrobial resistance. Antimicrobial resistance, this is also one of the issue in the present time, and how it is how it leads to the separate of these diseases in the environment as well as in human bodies, because of taking extra antimicrobials. And if we will have it, if we will look at the how it is impacting the livestock, how we are feeding our livestock with these antimicrobials, and eventually it leads to the wider problems than we would estimate it. So it is, the article is here highlighting that why not bring every issue, study them together and see the connections and try to solve the issue rather than solving the problems which are faced by humans only. In this way we can eliminate it. So with this, I hope you had understood the article. Now let's move to the another article and let's have a look at it. What does it talk about? Well, this article, it is very basically, this article is talking about the various studies, various findings which can be very much useful for your understanding, for writing the answers about what is the involvement of women in labor force, what is the involvement of women in the MSMEs. It gives us various data. So let's collect the data from this article. Here the article says women MSMEs still struggle for credit despite schemes. So this article has highlighted that the credit gap faced by women compared to men is very high. So what are the reasons for that? Because major reasons are the patriarchal nature of the society. The woman they usually don't have any collateral with them. If there would be property, it would be on the name of the man. So because of the lack of collaterals, the banks would not pay them, or the financial institutes will not pay them the exact money they need. So this is one of the reason. And second, the financial independence of the dependence of the woman. And the third could be the presumption of people towards women, that they will not pay on the time, they will misuse the money. So what is this credit gap? First try to let's understand that the credit gap. Let's understand it by the example. For example, if you would ask for 100 rupees of the credit, and irrespective of paying you 100, they will pay you only 65. So what is the credit gap? The credit gap is 35. So this 35 is with respect to the woman. For woman it is very high, and for men it is only 20. So this is the credit gap. This is the data given in this article. The credit gap, the difference between the woman and men is high, because it is the presumption. Even though we have various schemes, we had educated our women, we had brought up various schemes for them, but still when they go for the credit, they are paid very less. And this is what the credit gap is about. And also this article also talks about how the woman has the involvement of women in MSMEs. What is the percentage of women in MSMEs? It is only 20.50%. What are the percentage of women employees in formal sector? It is only 18.73%. And what are the women investors? It is only 11.15%. So it has highlighted these various data, which can be very much useful for your answer writing. If any question about the woman employment would be asked in the exam. So with this, I hope you had got the basic understanding of the article. Now I hope you had got the basic understanding of the article. And now let's move to the another article, and let's have a look at it. What does this article talk about? Let's try to discuss it. Well, it is the on the global doom, how Trump's missile shield tests space law. Golden doom. So what is this? Let's try to analyze it. For example, whenever recently there were wars fought between, there was a war fought between India and Pakistan. There were exchange of missiles, drones, and tracking of locations. If you would had heard the statement of the general a few days back, he told that how the Pakistanis, by the help of China, they were able to know our locations. So why they were able to know about their locations? Because of the Chinese satellites. So here we come to the satellites. How India was able to know the locations of the important sites in Pakistan which were hit because of the satellites. So these satellites are in space. They have their function. What is their function? To trace, to locate, to map the world, and also to give the real-time information about the weather system. And so in nutshell, it is for the peaceful civil purposes. So with respect to this, if you are going to launch any rocket, or you are going to if you are going to launch any missile, you are going to launch it by the help of satellites, but from the land. And you have the air defense system that is on the land. You get the information through the satellites. You track the you track the intrusion, and you attack it. So what Trump is trying to do here? He is saying that under the golden doom, what he is trying to do, that he is going to install the satellites in space which would be armed. Those would be armed satellites which will have the weapons installed on them. And once they will see something is entering, somebody is trying to attack the US, so what they will do in the defense, they are going to attack it from the space. So they will get the real-time information and attack it from the space, so that nothing will happen to their country, so that they can protect the country. But here is an issue. We have the policies, we have the outer space treaty, where we cannot weaponize the outer space. We cannot military, we cannot have the, outer space belongs to everybody. We cannot weaponize that. We cannot use this for the mass destruction. We cannot use this for the nuclear weapons. So we have a treaty signed for it. We cannot militarize this outer space. So with respect to this, Trump, what he is planning, he is going for the golden dome, where he will install the satellites which will help them, which will help them to protect their country from the intrusions, and it would be a satellite, it would be like the air defense system for them, but from the satellites. But it is in contradiction with the outer space treaty. But still, if we once we will read the outer space treaty, we will see that there are certain terms which can be which can lead to the different interpretations, or we can that can lead to the different loopholes. That is why this article is in discussion, because it is in contradiction with the outer space treaty. They are going for this golden dome. Is it the question? The real question is it in contradiction with outer space treaty, or is there the loopholes in the treaty which can be violated by the countries? So this is the golden dome, and there are various drawbacks to it, various arguments against it. When you are weaponizing this outer space, at that time, for example, if there would be a conflict between Russia and USA, what USA will do, they will attack the satellites of the Russia and down them from the outer space itself. Or if there would be a conflict between China and USA, they will do the same. And once the USA will try to achieve it, will the countries like Russia and China remain silent, or will they try to go for, will they try to race with them? So it will again lead to the race of the weaponization. So it will again lead to a kind of the Cold War era, which eventually we are living in. So with respect to this, let's have a look at what type of question can be asked in the prelims exam. Let's try to see it. Here the question says, with reference to the Treaty on Principles Governing the Activities of the State in the Exploration and Uses of Outer Space, including the Moon and other celestial bodies, Outer Space Treaty, which is known as, consider the following statements. So let's have a look at it. This first statement, the treaty prohibits the placement of nuclear weapons or any other kind of weapons of mass destruction in orbit around the Earth, on the Moon, or any other celestial body. That's true. So here it is a loophole. It does not talk about other weapons, but it would talk about the mass, destruction, weapons of mass destruction and nuclear weapons. So the USA, what argument they are giving, that we are not going for this, we are going for our defense system. So this is kind of a loophole in this treaty. Second, it allows any state to claim national appropriation of outer space, including the Moon and other celestial bodies, by means of sovereignty, by means of use or occupation, or by another means. This is totally incorrect. Third, the treaty establishes that the states are internationally responsible for national activities in outer space, whether carried on by government agencies or by non-government entities. That is also true, 100% correct. And that is the reason you will not be allowed to do anything with respect to the satellites privately, if you are not governed by the government. So government will always keep check on you what you are doing with respect to that, because the government is eventually responsible for your activities. Fourth, it mandates that all stations, installations, equipments, and space vehicles on the Moon and other celestial bodies shall be open to representatives of other state parties on a basis of reciprocity, 100% correct. So with respect to this question, the statements which are correct are statement 1, statement 3, and statement 4. With this, I hope you had understood the topic here and also the question here. Now with this, let's move to the another article. Let's have a look at it, what this article is talking about. Well, again, the story of Election Commission of India, the revision of electoral rules. Well, this has went to the Supreme Court. Let's see what will happen there. But for the for the guys who are visiting our channel first time, let me tell you what is the issue. Election Commission of India, they are going for the intensive revision. They are going for the intensive revision of the special intensive revision of the electoral rolls in Bihar. There are various issues with that, because of the policy which the Election Commission is adopting here. What they are adopting, that if you were elected, if you were enrolled on the Election Commission on the electoral rolls in the year 2003, then you don't have to go through this process. But after 2003, whoever is not enrolled in 2003, whoever is not enrolled, he has to go through this process. For that, they would have to submit few documents like date of birth certificate, like the permanent address certificate. The issue in Bihar is that there are many newborns who were newborns from 2003. They don't have these birth certificates. So it in a way, if they are not able to collect these birth certificates and the permanent address certificates, it is going to halt their it is going to restrict their right to vote. It is going to restrict the constitutional right which is given to them, the right to vote. So in a way it impacts the democracy, it impacts the adult suffrage in our country. So that's why it is under question. The purpose of this is to remove the ghost voters, to remove the duplication. That is the purpose. If you want to know much more about it, please look at our previous lectures here. With respect to the daily news, we will come to know about it. And one more thing I would like to mention here, basically every day on this YouTube channel we upload two videos. One in the morning session, which is this video where we discuss the news analysis, so that we will give the proper idea about the current affairs which is required for you to clear the exam. And in the evening session we upload another video where we discuss the static syllabus. In the static syllabus currently we are discussing Indian polity. We are about to complete it. We had completed 22 lectures already. Only 8 to 9 lectures are left. So what is our approach by the month of January 2026, where I had promised you that by the month of January 2026 I will try to complete your full syllabus. So if you want to be the part of us, please do subscribe the channel, do follow us. We will guide you through your journey. If you want it, it is totally free, except if you want to get the access to our notes, then you will have to pay 200 rupees per subject. You will get the access of our notes, and trust me, these notes would be very much different from your conventional books. So this is the little introduction about our initiative. If you want to be part of it, so please do subscribe us, do share it with your friends, and do write in the comments what else should we bring for you guys. Now let's move to the last article of today's discussion. This article is about the rising seas, shifting lives, and a test of democratic values. So what does this article basically talk about? Because of the global warming, if we will see the impact of the global warming is very huge, and this impact is felt by the people of the low economic, who are economically weaker sections, or it is felt by the people living in the tribes, or people living in the forests, or majorly people living near coasts. These are the set of people who are facing the issues of the global warming. So here the context is with respect to the people living near the coasts. Whenever there is the rising seas, and if we look at the Indian coasts are highly populated. There are huge number of populations near the coasts in India. They have their homes there. They have their economy is running because of the coasts, because of the tourism there. So whenever there is the rising sea, it definitely impacts their houses, it impacts their health, it impacts their lives, it impacts the tourism there, it impacts the economy there. So because of these rising tides, because of these rising seas, they are forced to move away from these coasts, and they are forced to move inwards the city. So eventually when they move inwards the city, they don't have the good jobs there, they don't have the great access to the employment. So they fall into the debt crisis, they fall into various issues, and eventually it will lead to the various problems like the beggar system, like they would be forced to work forced labor. It would lead to the forced labor. So here, definitely the need for the government's intervention is there. The article highlights that how government's intervention is needed, that government should intervene, and they should look after these people who are getting affected by this rising seas. They are most they are the people who are least cared, but they are the people who are most affected by the global warming. So this is the article in nutshell. I hope you had understood today's discussion. If there is any confusion, please do write in the comments. We will try our best to clear that. Please do get connected with us by subscribing our channel, and do hit the like button, and please do watch our next video, which would be uploaded by the 7 p.m. So please watch that video where we will discuss the Indian news. We will discuss the Indian polity. Here today we are going to discuss the 23rd lecture. So please be part of it. So with this, I would like to thank you guys. Thank you very much. Have a nice day and best of luck.